I had my first psychotic break at the age of 22. I was experiencing visual hallucinations and became frozen with fear in the shower because I was convinced that there was a man on the other side of the curtain that was going to hurt me when I came out. At this point, I had been self-medicating my depression, anxiety, and trauma with drugs and alcohol for 9 years. I had my second psychotic break at the age of 24. An angel of death visited me and told me that I needed to die in order to truly know God. Luckily, before I walked out into traffic that day, I called my dad, and he talked me down. At this point, I had been self-medicating with drugs and alcohol for 11 years. After my second break, I moved home. My depression and addiction had spiraled out of control. I was on a slow path to suicide. This culminated in a heroin overdose, in which I stopped breathing for several minutes and came back for no clear reason. I was able to get into a quality treatment program quickly, but I was hospitalized first in the psychiatric inpatient unit because I was suicidal and hearing voices. I was able to break this cycle in my life, and the real reason is because I have a family that's deeply dedicated to my well-being, that have the money to send me to the treatment program that I needed at the time. But after treatment, I had nowhere to go. I had burned many of my bridges, but luckily a dear friend in Olympia said that she would take care of me if I came here, so I did. I soon became involved in a volunteer street outreach program that provides emergency services to street-dependent people in downtown Olympia. The Emma Goldman Youth Homeless Outreach Project, or EGGY-HOP as it's known on the streets, really changed me. I was meeting people that were dealing with many of the same things that I had been dealing with. Serious mental health symptoms, in some cases living in active addiction. But there was one really important difference. They didn't have money to get the help that they needed quickly and the help that they were asking for. I often hear we have so many services for people in Olympia experiencing homelessness. This is true. What we also have is many wait lists. You can wait sometimes weeks, months, or even years to get into a shelter bed, housing, chemical dependency treatment services, get connected with mental health help, or even a medical provider, even if you're actively trying to do this every single day. So what we've done is essentially create a network of services that screens out the people that need it the most, people that have a hard time navigating through all of those hoops that you have to jump through to get help. In the winter of 2012, the city of Olympia was set to pass a series of ordinances that would negatively affect the lives of people living on the streets. A camping ban on city-owned public property and restricted use of the sidewalk between the hours of 7 a.m. and midnight each day. Myself and two of my close friends and long-term outreach work partners began to advocate for an alternative. We believed that if the city of Olympia was going to be passing these ordinances, that they had a responsibility to care for those that were most affected by them. We wanted to open a shelter that took all of their complex challenges into consideration and screened them in because of it, rather than leaving them out on the streets. This idea came with great hesitation, concern, critique, and luckily, enough support to get it going. On November 1st of 2014, we opened the doors of the Interfaith Works Emergency Overnight Shelter. We are a 37-bed shelter for highly vulnerable single adults. We've been at 100% capacity since our second week of operations, and we still turn people away nearly every single night for lack of space. We've assisted over 30 people into their move into housing, connected people with chemical dependency treatment services, mental health support, medical doctors. We've provided shelter for 80 unique individuals, 3 cats, and 10 dogs. When people are given access to the resources that they need, really amazing things can happen. Our shelter is based on a model called Housing First. It's a model that's recently been gaining notoriety across the United States, and it is exactly what it sounds like. Provide people with safe, secure housing first, without any requirements for receiving that housing, and they're much more likely to get off the streets, out of the ER, out of jail, and get connected to services. This is Dee Dee. Yeah. Dee Dee had been homeless for about 3 years by the time she came to us. She was part of a list that I received from the Olympia Police Department of people that were frequently ending up in police custody because they had been screened out of everywhere else. But before Dee Dee was homeless, she had her own apartment, owned her own car. She frequently babysat for her grandchildren, and at one point she even owned her own hair salon. She's a very fashionable lady. But Dee Dee also had some really challenging behavior, and a lot of this had to do with her decreased mental health and also an increase in symptoms of dementia in more recent years. She had received trespass notifications from many downtown businesses, social service agencies, the library, even the local food program fed her outside because her behavior was too hard to manage indoors. But we had screened Dee Dee in, and we weren't letting her go. The other thing about Dee Dee is that she had racked up quite a bill. Between citations, interactions with police, jail bookings, and hospital visits, in the year before we got Dee Dee into housing, she cost taxpayers $250,000 in 1 year. So just for some comparison, one night at St. Peter Hospital, $2,500. One night in Olympia City Jail, $104. One night at our shelter, $24. When people are given access to the resources that they need, really big things can happen. Now Dee Dee is in housing. She has her tribal benefits reinstated, and she's paying her own way. We can now plan for the future with Dee Dee rather than having to respond to her in crisis every day. This work is not easy. It's emotionally and mentally exhausting. But our guests deserve it, and our city and everyone in it is better off when we give it to them. Thank you. Thank you. But here's the thing. We need more of it. And what we need is permanent housing for people, not just shelter. Thank you. So often as humans, we love to have a plan. We really want to be prepared. We hire consultants and they do feasibility studies. And more often than not, those plans end up on a shelf somewhere before they're ever implemented. The magic of our plan was that we acted. So now, thank you. Now, as a city, I believe that we're at a point of no return. We can continue to do things the way that we always have and screen out the people that need it the most, or we can accept the principles of housing first as part of our overall housing strategy as a city, because it is both fiscally and socially the right thing to do. I'm standing here today as living proof that when people with very serious mental health symptoms and decade-long addictions are given access to the help that they need, really amazing things can happen. Thank you.